All right, let's talk Chelsea. We actually haven't spoken about Chelsea too much this window, bizarrely. I think we will do in the next couple of weeks, though. As we heard they're in talks to sign Jeremy Jacquet, defender from Rennes. Dan, what is the latest on this? How far down the line is it? And they value him up to, what, £56 million?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, why is the value so high? What's the attraction?
Well, first of all, Jeremy Jacquet, Ligue and plays for Rennes, and he has been monitored by the biggest clubs in Europe. Chelsea are just one of many admirers in the Premier League and outside who could be interested in Jacquet, but I think Chelsea are in talks with Rennes. They value him around £56 million, as you mentioned, Matt, and I think Chelsea are looking for a centre-back who can go straight in to their starting 11. Now, Levi Colwill, we know, is essentially out for the rest of the season with an ACL. Tossin also picked up what looked like a hamstring injury on the weekend. Liam Rosenior said we'll see how bad that is. But also, he is someone, Jacquet, that Rosenior will be familiar with, of course, being in Ligue 1. Strasbourg, played them earlier this season. And look, in terms of what could he add, he's a big 20-year-old. He's extremely good on the ball. His distribution's excellent. He's quite aggressive. I think what I would say is maybe a little bit like previous centre-backs Chelsea have signed, slightly raw, so we'll need to develop. So I think that's the interesting aspect, is he ready to come into that Chelsea team? We'll have to wait and see.
Stephen, as a former defender, I want to get your opinion on Chelsea's centre-back situation. They've actually got 7 options, by my calculation, in terms of centre-backs. 2 of them are injured right now. Levi Colwill, he probably is in their top 2, isn't he? He's out for the whole season. Tossin, as you mentioned there, might have picked up a hammy in the previous game. But they've still got 5 other options. When you look at that, do you think it's an area that is holding Chelsea back from going to the next level? Or do you think they're OK there? They got the numbers, or do they need more quality?
I think Colwill, him with such a significant injury, and there's always, you hope and you feel like he can get back to the levels he was before, but there's always that question mark when he comes back, how long will it take him to get back to there? So replacing someone like that I think is important, that you have someone come in that is going to be able to steady that ship and be that solid partnership, whoever you want to build. But they've invested in their centre backs, but obviously not probably as heavily as they have in other areas. And I feel that Chelsea have spent so much in the forward areas. You just think they've just thrown money at those players. That have they neglected it slightly in those areas? Have they brought in the highest calibre of defenders that they want? When you look at Reece James and think of how good he is and how important he is if he plays midfield or right back, centre back pairings. You look at Arsenal. I think Arsenal have given the makeup of how to have a strong push for the Premier League is to be able to get that partnership correct. And those two have kind of given a bit of a blueprint so we can have all the attack and threat in the world, but if we don't have these two that are pinning everything together, it's not going to be solid. So Chelsea are probably thinking we need to go and invest in that area.
And you can see some of the defenders they've signed there since Kerr came into the club. Stephen, on your point there, I think 3 of those were signed in the first kind of 2 transfer windows with Koulibaly, Wesley Fofana, Bouma Bediashile. But as you mentioned, a lot of those aren't maybe starting centre-backs in the Premier League outside of that. And when you look at where Chelsea have spent their money in terms of relevance to different areas of the pitch, you can look at the average per signing when you look at the players signed, let's say the fullbacks out of that, it does point a little bit to your point that they have underinvested in that area of the pitch. And, I know speaking to different clubs that a lot of the sports science suggests if you invest in your attacking areas, you're more likely to go up the table and show quicker development. But I think everyone connected and who follows Chelsea would argue that the foundation at the back has been their weakness. Yeah,
it is. And I think, like I said, I think Arsenal it's a way of seeing how that can really benefit you. You bring in a Declan Rice in front of the back 4 and you bring in those 2 centre-backs and they stay fit and you have a real chance of pushing. And then those forward players have a bit more freedom to go and play. I think what's interesting with Chelsea is I think Palmer come in, who's so influential. I don't think anybody when he signed would have thought he was going to have the influence he has on that side. So if you get a centre-back that can come in and have a similar sort of importance to that role, if it's this young lad that comes in and can come in straight away and be someone that's kind of pivotal, that's huge. But Chelsea, I just think they're 1 or 2 players away from being very, very complete.
Yeah.
Chelsea Football Club is on the verge of securing a major defensive signing, having agreed personal terms with Stade Rennais centre-back Jeremy Jacquet. The 22-year-old Frenchman has been identified as the Blues' top target to bolster their backline, with a contract already prepared and the player expressing strong enthusiasm for the move to Stamford Bridge. Negotiations between the clubs continue, as Rennes demands a club record fee of approximately €65 million for their prized asset. Jacquet, a product of Rennes Youth Academy, has impressed in Ligue 1 with his composure, aerial ability, and tactical awareness, making over 80 appearances for the first team. This potential transfer aligns with Chelsea's strategy under manager Enzo Maresca to build a robust defense capable of competing in multiple competitions. If completed, it would mark one of the winter window's headline deals, providing much-needed depth amid ongoing injury concerns. Fans are buzzing with anticipation as details emerge, highlighting Chelsea's ambition in the market. Please like and subscribe.